also for me, it was never about money, right? So I have a few $100 million in my bank account or in Bitcoin since 10 years ago, and I don't do anything with it. I don't own any real estate, jets, or yachts. I don't think this lifestyle is for me. I like to focus on what we are doing with Telegram.
You don't own anything? Like big assets? You don't own
no big assets.
Exactly. An island in Hawaii or
no land, no real estate, nothing.
Why?
Well, because for me, my number one priority in life is my freedom.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. That was the CEO of Telegram telling you that he buys Bitcoin because he enjoys his freedom. That's why he holds BTC. So in today's clip, we're getting into strategy, getting into some Bitcoin updates. Hasn't been a lot of news over the weekend here. Going to be looking at some of the traditional TradFi data as well. So stay tuned for everything in today's video. But as you can see, strategy here at 366 on the Friday close. The market cap is falling here. The MNAV is down. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people in the strategy community are selling off their MSTR. And we know where Bitcoin is going long term. So we're continuing to buy at these prices. Not financial advice, but we believe Bitcoin is going to $1 million. If you can get Bitcoin under 150,000, that's a good time to buy, in my personal opinion. So, not financial advice like always, but you can see Strategy's MNAV is falling a bit here. And if you look at the most actively traded US stocks for Friday, Strategy is still in the top 15 with around $4.81 billion of actively traded volume. That's good to see as well. And what's really interesting about Bitcoin is it's been over $100,000 for over 100 days. So Bitcoin is showing a lot of strength this year. We passed 100K. We're up to currently at around 117 and it's stayed above $100,000 for over 3 months now. So that is definitely a good sign. Strategy has fallen down here to number 99 in the top 100 US companies ranked by market cap. And what's going to be really interesting to see this week is if the preferreds have picked up steam, because last week we only got a $15 million buy from Strategy, which is not really good to see. We want to see hundreds of millions of dollars, potentially at least $100 million coming from Strategy from these preferreds to buy more Bitcoin every week. But we did not see that last week. We'll see how the preferreds, performed this week on Monday when Strategy comes out and announces their BTC buy. But we'll have to just wait and see. Let's go ahead and check out the ETF flows here. This is Ethereum ETF. So Ethereum ETF flows over the past week were just absolutely massive. Had the first red day here in about 10 days. Had a $1 billion inflow day. And I mentioned this in one of our previous videos, but my thoughts on Ethereum are you have these hype cycles when it comes to the crypto market. Solana was really trendy last year in 2024, especially in March. Solana performed really well. It hasn't performed since then. Ethereum has had a massive run over the past couple months. Tom Lee came on and said, we're going to buy Ethereum. We're going to continue to buy it with our Ethereum treasury strategy company. And ETH is waking back up. But it doesn't mean this trend is going to continue for years and years and years. Just because Tom Lee says that Ethereum is going to be the best performing asset over the next 10 years, I wouldn't take his word for face value. And I know Tom Lee has been, exceptional in calling Bitcoin and, the rest of the cryptos. But Ethereum still has a lot of competitors. We don't know if Ethereum's actually going to be that base layer for stablecoins. I mean, if you guys have used Ethereum, I highly recommend you check out Ethereum if you haven't. If you're just a Bitcoiner, try to use Ethereum and see how you like the usability. Because every time I've used Ethereum, I haven't used Ethereum in a while now, it's just very unusable. Gas fees are high. It's extremely slow. It doesn't act like a centralized application. You can tell that you're using a DApp. If you compare that to something like Solana, Solana is night and day versus Ethereum. Am I saying Solana's better? No, I don't know what's better. But I feel like Tom Lee's pushing this narrative that Ethereum has won this race when it comes to stablecoins. And I just don't think that is completely true. as of yet. Now, that could definitely change in the future, but you can see right here, this is the Bitcoin ETF flows, $14 million outflow yesterday. So decent week for the Bitcoin ETF flows. Just with this week here, which is kind of slow from what we've seen outside of, just some kind of scares in the market. I mean, they're still buying up all of the natural supply that is produced from the miners every single day, just with these flows here. So good to see. And I think some data that we have to pay attention to, especially in the short term, I don't believe this data we really have to pay attention to for the long-term price action of Bitcoin, but September 11th is when we're going to see that CPI number come out. And I talk about CPI doesn't mean I believe these numbers. A lot of people call it CPI, but if CPI comes out hot, the market's going to sell off. The market reacts to these numbers. Even if these numbers are fake or fictitious, the market reacts to these numbers because the Federal Reserve pays attention to all of these numbers. And this is really the only thing they pay attention to is CPI, and they also pay attention to the employment situation. We get the jobs numbers on September 5th. So there are 2 key days in the short term that you should pay attention to. If you're a trader or if you're looking to see when the trend change could happen for Bitcoin or crypto, those are some key dates that you might want to pay attention to. And then you have the M2 chart here. Bitcoin is still following this decently. Obviously, you can see it's not 1-to-1, but if Bitcoin continues to follow M2, we could see Bitcoin go up to around $150,000 somewhere around the October, November, September timeframe. And that was our price prediction that we had early in the year, called 150K for this year for Bitcoin. I still think that's possible. And 150K from current prices really isn't that crazy of a move. I think it's like around a 30% move to the upside for Bitcoin at current prices. So 150 for Bitcoin is really not that crazy of a move. And I've said on previous videos, if Bitcoin hits 150, I think strategy gets somewhere between $500 to $600. It's not financial advice. It's just my opinion, and I'm just a guy on the internet. And I did build out a price model for this back in January. As you can see right here, I basically was just estimating the Saylor buys that we would get for 2025 and the ETF buys that we would get for 2025. And if all that money flew into Bitcoin, what would that do to the market cap? And I can go over this in another video if you guys want me to, but I haven't updated in a while since Bitcoin's been 95,000. But the estimation I had for the end of the year is around 154K. And I still think that is definitely still possible, 154,000 for Bitcoin at the end of the year. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. Am I too bearish? Are we going higher than that? Are we not even going to hit 150? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's really all I had for today's video. I have a clip of Jack Mallers I want to share with you guys. But my name is Aaron from Bitcoin Bros. I'm out. See you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.
What's the end game for you? Is it just to buy as much Bitcoin as you can and hold it for as long as possible and never sell it?
That's one of the goals, yes. But I think what makes us different than a lot of these other businesses is we plan to build Bitcoin products as well. I mean, the founding group is Tether and myself. I founded and lead Strike is one of the bigger Bitcoin financial services firms in the world. Tether obviously is one of the most impressive companies in the history of humanity, but specifically in building massive cash flows within the space. So Paulo and I, before we were CEOs, we were engineers. We built a lot of products. And so we plan to not only acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, raising capital in all sorts of deep capital pools, but also build products, build technology, build tools. I think when people eventually think of 21, it's are they a competitor to Coinbase? Are they a competitor to strategy? For us, why not both? We think we have that potential.
Do you envision a future where Bitcoin treasury companies such as Strategy, Mara, and you guys end up buying so much Bitcoin that there really isn't actually much left out there on the open market for people to trade? After all, it is a fixed number of Bitcoin, so no more will be created once it reaches that number.
Right. You know what's fascinating about the asset, and it's not intuitive because it's so rare, is that to your point, it is definitively scarce. So if everyone in the world wanted an iPhone, Apple could make more. If everyone in the world wanted a McDonald's cheeseburger, McDonald's could make more. The fact that Bitcoin cannot increase its supply means the new supply comes from the market. If you want more Bitcoin, you don't go to the Bitcoin factory to get one. You have to go up in price. Is there enough Bitcoin for me at 120,000? No. Okay, 130, 140, 150. So I tell you what, there's always Bitcoin available, just depends on what you're willing to pay for it. And so what I think will happen is this price will continue to discover higher because Bitcoin is the scarcest thing. It's inelastic to the amount of demand that searches for it. So the amount of buying power that we're seeing from the capital markets, from the ETFs, and potentially from nation states like the United States, I think they'll find the supply they're looking for. They're just going to have to go get it at a higher price.